PR Connections Radio presents
Welcome to the Sports Angle on PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. I'm your host, Ian Rickelli. For all audio listeners on iHeartRadio and Spotify, don't forget to like, share, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any episode of the Sports Angle on PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. Also, go to our website, thesportsangle.com. We write articles on there all the time, so I highly recommend checking out sportsangle.com. And also, I will... All right. Technical difficulties, folks. It happens, folks. You know, it's live. Now, I will say, for all the people watching around the world, this is going to be a fantastic show talking about MLB. And, of course, I had to bring back on, this MLB analyst for the Sports Angle. I mean, very knowledgeable about the world of baseball. King Czar from Talk Your Ish and Stay Tuned Live. Welcome back, Czar. How's it going?
Oh, that's me. Oh, me. I forgot. Yeah, I'm here. Hey, everybody. It's that time of the year. It's July. Fireworks are still going off in the air. Balls are flying out of the ballpark. It makes sense.
There you go. There you go. Now, talking about the MLB All-Star Game here on the Sports Angle on PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. Obviously, we will talk about your New York Mets first. Obviously, they are your team. Pete Alonso being your only representative in the All-Star Game, plus the Home Run Derby, which we all know is going to be exciting at T-Mobile Park, one of the best stadiums in baseball. But what do you think about the New York Mets, man? Only one representative. I mean, beginning of the year, that would have been insane to say. To say New York Mets would only have one representative in the All-Star Game with all the moves they made this offseason.
Yeah, I mean, I watched a few shows, and, there's been discussion. As far as snubs, they were saying Lindor was snubbed by your guy, Dansby. It came down to those two, and they took him over Lindor. According to some, I don't know if they know exactly how the voting goes or the picks and stuff like that, but they said pretty much he was chosen over Lindor. Rookies don't make it. Obviously, Scherzer and Verlander, they're doing solid. Verlander was hurt to start the year, so it wasn't really expected for them to make it. Obviously, our closer, hasn't played all year. I'm trying to think of the guys that normally make the team. Sterling Marte is kind of, here and there, but I'm okay with it because we have not had a good first half. Now we're starting July, on fire. So now I'm hoping this turns into a great second half. If so, I can forgive all. If we turn this around, we won 6 in a row, I'm okay with that one representative. You have to earn your spot. And so I feel that this will put some motivation in them that we've only had one representative. So I'm okay with it.
But I will say, in Mets' defense, Elias Diaz over Francisco Alvarez, Will Smith over Francisco Alvarez. I mean, if that wasn't just a case of, we have to have one all-star for every single team, right. Francisco Alvarez is obviously a top 3 catcher in the National League. Come on now. Right.
No, I mean, like I said, it's a rookie. And if you look around most sports, very hard for a rookie to make, an all-star appearance in this very first season. You really have to, kind of be on to something or really, make your noise. And he had a slight of a slow start, you know what I mean? But in my opinion, I feel he's right there with Carroll and maybe the sensation that came up for the Reds. What I'm talking about. They call him the next Eric Davis. I don't know about that, but I think he's right.
What you're talking about, yeah, I know.
Right. So, but I don't know the percentage or how many rookies make it per season, what the number is, but like I said, I think they're rewarding teams that have performed a little better. And like you said, there is that one thing in baseball that they do not have in football or basketball. And I don't know about hockey, but one person has to be represented on every team. So that makes it tough, and it makes it for more snubs because of that.
Yeah, I know with basketball, with it being the fan votes, a lot of teams don't have one superstar, one player on there just because of the fan vote and all that. The
Right.
Pro Bowl, I know in the past they had that rule. I don't think it exists now. I know back in the day they did have that rule in place. That's why all
Right.
those special teamers used to have like those random players to put in the Pro Bowl because they had
Right.
one player put in. And in hockey, they encourage one player for each team, but it's not required.
Right. See, now I like that. Because they're honestly every season there's probably a couple of teams that should not have a representative, and they're forced to pick the best player from that team, although he may not deserve to be an all-star. So just saying.
There are a couple of teams from the MLB All-Star game that I definitely kind of want to mention in that category. Because, the Boston Red Sox, Kenley Jansen as their only representative. Just excuse me real quick, but hasn't Rafael Devers and Alex Verdugo done a lot better than what Kenley Jansen has done for the Boston Red Sox?
Absolutely. So now what you have to take into account now as you break it down, now you look at position because that will play a part. So now in the American League, you look as you have a third baseman who you mentioned in Devers. He's normally a perennial, but because of the relief pitching, I'm assuming, and they can carry more pitchers. I think they carry, isn't it like 15 to 18 pitchers?
Yeah,
So
it's
I
like
think,
15 to 20 pitchers.
yeah. So I just think they were like, hey, we don't need Devers because of the third basemen that we do have. Jung's having a great year, so forth. I just think, Jansen is normally a mainstay at the All-Star game as well. And I don't think he's having a season that he took. He's not doing bad, but he's not been lights out. And I know he's a little older, but like I said, they don't always get it right. We know that. We talk about that every year. So we're always going to find snubs. You're always going to find, well, how did this guy make it over that guy? And that's just typically how it works.
So we do have our Twitter open at Sports Angle on PR, and someone asked, to the Mets fan, are you buying or selling at the trade deadline?
Well, right now, like I said, we won 6 in a row. We got a big game tonight in San Diego. If I think tomorrow's the last game, if we win today and if we win tomorrow, well, I don't want to be that technical and. We won 6 in a row. If we win, I say we reassess things, but the team has performed better. So, like I said, if we go in on the 8-game winning streak going into the break, I'm feeling good. Like we can get back in this thing. We're only 6 games out of the wild card spot. If you guys remember last year, going into the second half and maybe even a little bit into the second half, I think we were like 12 or 14 games up on the Atlanta Braves. They came and overtook us. So 6 games is not a lot to work with. And we're talking about the Giants, the Brewers, and the Phillies. The Phillies probably have the most credibility in those 3 teams, but we can definitely catch those 3 teams. And we own the Phillies head-to-head. So I'm saying that we're still buying. I'm not throwing in the towel yet.
Shout out to Dennis Holmes, by the way. In Your Fingers podcast. Shout out to your Philadelphia Phillies. Just want to give a shout out to you.
Absolutely. Phillies.
But back to the MLB All-Star game, because, I talked about the Boston Red Sox just for a little bit. Since we do have a friend of ours who is an Atlanta Braves fan, now, I've always said that there's at least one team every All-Star game that has, like, almost their entire roster put in the All-Star game.
Yeah.
Either due to the fan vote or due to the player vote or based off of what they do behind the scenes. The Atlanta Braves having 8 players put into the All-Star game, I think that really speaks to how dominant they've been this year. Best record in baseball. But what does it say to you, Czar, considering that they are in your division? But yeah, 8 players put in the All-Star game from Atlanta.
Hey, the Braves are clearly the best team in baseball. Sorry, Tampa Bay, but it's not even close. I don't even think Tampa Bay is the best team in the American League. Record-wise, yes. I do not think that they're going to hang on, and I think they will not get to the World Series. I'm a Mets fan. I speak it real. I don't see nobody stopping the Atlanta Braves this year. I believe they take the trophy. Like I said, I just want to get back to the playoffs, have a great second half. There's just no way no one's going to beat this team outside of just a slump, a major injury, which knock on wood, we never want anyone to get hurt. But that team is purely loaded. I mean, that Braves team is amazing. I have no problem with none of these starters that you put on the board. The one I'm shocked and just amazed at is Orlando. I believe it's Arcia, if I'm saying it right.
Yeah.
And he was a journeyman brought over last year when Albies got hurt. I think he broke his hand. And then he even lost his job when they called up Grissom out of nowhere. He was a surprise. And then in spring training, he beats out Grissom. And Albies, obviously gets his job back. So Arcia is like, well, hey, Grissom, you're not ready yet. I'm going back there going to shortstop. So he switches position. Well, I mean, second base, shortstop, a lot of guys
right, really,
positions. Yeah. But I'm just shocked, the background of this kid, and I'm amazed. I just think
especially with Grissom signing a 7-year deal too. Normally, when a guy signs that long,
no, I still think he's going to be a good MLB player. Sometimes it takes time. Last year, Francisco Alvarez, who you mentioned earlier, he came up last year, struggled bad. Sometimes it just takes a little bit for them, get going. So, yeah. But kudos to them guys.
Now, continuing the conversation about the MLB All-Star Game. Now, this team only has one representative, but obviously everyone's talking about the snub that came from this team. The Cincinnati Reds, Alexis Diaz, the brother of Edwin Diaz, going to his first All-Star Game. But everyone's talking about Ellie De La Cruz and how he is not in the All-Star Game. Now, my argument would be is that he got to MLB too late.
Right.
If he had been here a month before, he definitely would be in the All-Star Game. But since he only got here in like mid-May around there, I think that's the reason why he's not an All-Star. But Zara, what about you? Everyone keeps mentioning how he was a snub for this All-Star Game.
No, that's exactly. No. That's 100% why, that he didn't make it. I mean, I don't know exactly when he got called up, but
it was like mid-May.
You're talking about Josh Jung, who was his favorite to win Rookie of the Year and came out and said, hey, not only am I the favorite, I'm taking this thing. So, it's really hard. You got to be Mike Trout or somebody. As great as the kid is doing, and I think he will be great, he's not doing well. Because I believe Mike Trout got called up. He didn't start the year, and I believe he got called up, and I believe he did make the All-Star game as well. But talk about what he did his rookie year, what I mean?
Yeah, he was a rare exception, though.
Right. So that's why, it's hard. Like I said, it's hard in general for position rookies to make it in generally. Now you're talking about a kid coming up later to make it, it's tough. It's just tough.
But if he does what he's doing now and he keeps on doing that, yeah, next year he will be a lock to be in the All-Star.
Oh, absolutely. Sure. He might win Rookie of the Year this year. Like I said, it's three guys, him, Carroll, and Alvarez. It's 3-man race. AL is over. It's Young. I don't see nobody else even in it.
Oh, no, that's facts. That's facts.
Yeah.
I will have to mention, though, and I have to ask this in a certain way. Is he really the first superstar the Cincinnati Reds have had since Ken Griffey Jr.?
Wow. Damn. The first superstar since Cincinnati. Since Ken Griffey. This organization has struggled, man.
The thing is, I like Joey Votto. Don't get me wrong. He obviously has been a lifelong fan of Cincinnati Reds. He's been there forever. But has he ever been really a superstar? Like, I think he's been a star. Don't get me wrong. But I don't think he's ever been that superstar that MLB puts his face over all the billboards kind of thing.
Oh, that's a good player. I mean, Joey Votto, I believe, there's been times when I think he's got a batting title or two under his belt.
I believe he has one, like 2013.
He only has one. And I believe and this is just off the top of the head, I believe he's probably finished second or third multiple times. I'm trying to see because I mean that's when did Griffey leave the Reds?
So I know that he played there from 2001 and then he played until about 2006, 2007 because I think he got dealt to Chicago after leaving for Cincinnati.
Yeah, I'm even over here trying to look up just to kind of see if there's someone I really
Because
like.
they had the Barry Larkin era. And
Yeah,
then Ken
right.
Griffey
But
Jr. came
that's,
over and
I mean,
replaced
he
him.
still technically came. I mean, he was either around the same or even before Griffey. He came in the mid '80s, so it's probably very similar. No, I think, I mean, maybe, yeah, no, I have to say that they don't have a really good track record of superstars on this organization. So I think that's well said. That's probably 100% correct. I can't. I try. I like to bring someone in. I can't do it. I can't do
There you
it.
go. I mean, that's what we do here on the Sports Angle on PR Connections
Right.
Radio. I'm your
Now,
host,
there's been
Daniel
some
Kelly.
guys that were supposed to pan out, and Nick Senzel was a big prospect a few years ago. I think he's still with the organization. He has not lived
Jonathan
up.
India. Yeah.
Yeah, he has not lived up to anywhere close. To him. They had some big power bats that are not there anymore.
I
Who
know
was the
Josh
guy?
Hamilton was until he had
Yeah,
his drug
yeah.
problem.
Winker was there. Winker was supposed to be a much better player than he's turned out to be.
Billy
So,
Hamilton, the steel base king.
mhm.
Billy Hamilton.
Yeah, and he can't get on base for steal bases. So if you can't get on base to do what you do best, what are you here for?
Yeah. And speaking of a former Cincinnati Red, look, let's just face it. The Detroit Tigers should not have anybody in the All-Star game. Like, I really can't think of anybody that Detroit has on their roster. Michael Lorenzen, the guy who is a the two-way guy. He's a pitcher. He's a hitter. I get it. But I think Michael Lorenzen shouldn't even be in the All-Star game. But hey, you have to have at least one person.
Right, but he doesn't. Does he hit for
He
them?
does. He hits home runs. Yeah, Michael Lorenzen.
No, I'm saying currently, does he play on a regular basis? He's in the lineup as a batter.
No, he's not. He's not a batter full time. No.
Right, so he pinch hit. He pinch hit sometimes.
So when he was with the Cincinnati Reds, he used to
Well,
hit
no,
home
I know.
runs
I'm
with Greg
talking about
Harrison.
no, that I know, but I'm
Yeah.
saying now, I don't think he hits at all.
No, Detroit doesn't let him hit currently. No.
Yeah, no, and I was looking over the roster, and like I said earlier, unfortunately, there's always a couple of teams that don't deserve a representative, and that's one of them. And if they did choose one, I don't think it would have been him. I mean, I like what's the guy? They got a kid over there that used to. No, actually, he's in Tampa now. What's the guy? The young Paredes, but I forgot he's in Tampa.
What
He was
about
a
Eduardo
prospect that came
Rodriguez,
through their
the former Red
system
Sox?
pretty
What
good.
about him?
Baez, I'm not sure if he deserves it either. He's been
No.
doing good lately, but I honestly
Torkelson
don't
hasn't
think.
developed yet.
Right, I just don't think they deserve a representative. I
No.
just think, again, you gotta have one from each team. That's
And
what it is.
since he's in the chat, by the way, hey Blaze, you literally just missed us talking about your Cincinnati Reds.
Mhm.
So shout out to you, Blaze. And I asked the question to Czar, so I might as well ask it to you as well. Is De La Cruz the last superstar the Reds have had since Ken Griffey Jr.? Because he is really becoming a superstar in baseball right now.
Right.
So, as we talk about that, the Houston Astros, I want to mention real quick, just because Yordan Alvarez, Kyle Tucker, and Framber Valdez, I mean, these are three guys who have definitely been a real good players for the Houston Astros. But something that everyone has noticed is that original core of the Houston Astros, they're declining now. Altuve, Bregman, I mean, those guys are not being what they are now. So are we seeing kind of the changing of the guard with the Houston Astros, seeing the new guys step up while the older guys are kind of fading to the back?
I wouldn't say the changing of the guard, because to be honest with you, I don't think no one in that division is ready to just say, hey, this is my division, we're taking over. You know what I mean? It's, again, this year, it's a lot of parity in baseball this year. Like I said, outside of the Tampa Bay and outside of the Braves, everyone else is kind of in a bunch, the 51, 52 wins down to teams that got 45 wins or whatever. I don't trust Seattle. Texas is intriguing. I know he's one man, but losing DeGrom for the year, Eovaldi has definitely stepped up and is probably a top 2 or 3 Cy Young candidate. And I love Adolis Garcia. He should be an MVP candidate. But as far as them becoming a powerhouse, without DeGrom, I don't see it. So I think, Houston, I don't think it's over yet.
Yeah, Jeremy Pena, by the way, is still my favorite player from the Houston Astros. One of the only few players I do respect.
Good second-year player,
from the Houston Astros. Yeah.
Right.
Continuing with the All-Star game, kind of talking about teams that I really don't understand why they're in the game. This team makes no sense at all. His stats don't look that great. His performance hasn't been good. But yet Salvador Perez is your all-star from the Kansas City Reds or Kansas City Royals. Yeah.
Right. And he's a mainstay. I think a lot of these guys, now in his case, he's an 8-time all-star. He's perennial, a top 3 catcher, probably the last 10 years in baseball. A true stud. It sucks that he's stuck in Kansas City because he could go to a contender and really help out. And there's a lot of teams that could use a catcher like him. So I'm actually okay with that. If you pay, I don't mind. Like the Michael Lorenzen thing is one thing, but if you're like, hey, Kansas City has to have someone and no one's really doing well, I really feel that I'm okay with a guy like him making the team, just because what he means to that position in baseball, playing catcher, high average guy. That's the hardest position in my opinion to play. And so I'm okay with that, but you're 100% correct. I can't say that his stats back it up.
So back to Twitter. Once again, I appreciate everybody on Twitter participating on the show at Sports Angle on PR. And someone mentioned for Detroit, why didn't they have Miguel Cabrera be an all-star since it's going to be one of his last years?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's it's the same thing. I can kind of keep giving you the same answer. Your hands are tied. You got how many teams in per league? It's
15 per. Yeah.
Per, right? And you're talking about that's 15 position spots already taken. Now you got to reward the great guys outside of those. The one guy from per position. So I think that has a lot to do with it. That we thought he might have hung it up, last year, the year before. To be honest with you, and it don't happen no more. Look at Tom Brady and the football. I loved it back in the day, like with Kobe Bryant. I am retiring, so that year was good because everyone went to his last game when he traveled here. It was important when he went to Utah for their last game or New York. Back in the day, they would let you know. Dirk Nowitzki, I believe, did the same thing, I believe. But I loved it when players said, this is my last year, especially when you're a star, because now we can dedicate this is your last year.
Retirement tour. Yeah.
Right. But when you're like, I don't know, we don't get that anymore. So who knows? Minji might come back again. I don't think they know if he's going to retire or not. Maybe he has said it this year, maybe. But I'm pretty sure he's mentioned it or said it before. They thought he was going to retire and he hasn't because he's played a long time.
The only 2 players I remember in baseball lately who have done a retirement tour, Chipper Jones, and that was a decade ago. But I know Chipper Jones did it with the Braves. And then I know Big Papi did it with the Red Sox because the Yankees, they gave him something. Like I remember they did that.
Right. Okay.
I think you're right. Over the last 5 or 6 years, I don't think you've seen retirement tours really.
Or I think I don't know if this happened with Pujols or someone. Didn't someone I think retired or mentioned or whatever, and then they ended up coming back. Or they didn't maybe not the next season or during the season or some injury. It's just not the same. It's not like it used to be back when we'd have a ceremony and this is my last year and stuff like that. That was big in sports because then you got a tribute. Every road game, people made sure to go watch your last game or whatever the case. You know what I mean? We don't get that anymore.
No, you do not. And speaking of the Los Angeles Dodgers, because somebody mentioned this on Twitter, someone mentioned the good battle that's going on between Arizona and LA at the top of the NL West. I think that's really going to be one of the best battles you're going to see for the rest of the year is the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks. But man, the Los Angeles Dodgers, 5 players going to the All-Star game. And I feel like there could have been more, though. Like, if I'm being honest with you, I feel like the Dodgers were a team that could have had at least 7, considering all the talent they have there.
Yeah, but then again, like I said, when you make an all-star team, I know this happens in basketball, they do look at your individual, but they also look at your performance. This team is supposed to be one of the top 2-3 teams in all of baseball, and they've struggled in the first half as well. Not like the Mets have, but they've struggled. And so I think that this is the case. Hey, we're going to bring the guys that definitely deserve to go. There's a couple others. This team hasn't performed to the level they should be where Tampa Bay or where Atlanta's at. So we're gonna leave a couple guys off. We're not gonna reward them and give them 7, 8 guys. We're gonna bring 5 because they're not even in first place. I think that plays a part into this decision, especially again having to get a representative on every team involved.
Yeah, I totally understand that 100%. And there is a player that I feel like has been a paradox, and there's really been this weird situation in MLB. And I just want to talk about him for 1 sec because Sonny Gray, someone showed this on Twitter, and I thought it was the most accurate statement ever. Sonny Gray is like a loop, all right? He does great. He looks amazing. He gets traded to a contender. He sucks. He gets released. He'll sign with a new team, and then it will repeat. Like, is that the situation you're seeing with Sonny Gray? Like, is he going to get traded at the deadline, go to a team, and then he'll do terrible there, and he'll have to go someplace else?
Well, no. Well, let me answer your question first. One, it's about pressure. Sonny Gray is a very talented pitcher. He was with Oakland. He was very talented when he came up through Oakland. Pressure, playoff baseball, going to a contender. Hey, we just traded for this guy. Come into our locker room. You're the savior. You're the missing piece. It's a lot of pressure. Now we're talking about meaningful baseball games in the fall. That's exactly what it is, a la Kershaw. There's just certain pitchers that are great but cannot handle the pressure. And that's just exactly what it is with Sonny Gray. But don't think he'll get traded just yet. The Twins may end up winning that division, so I'm not sure they're going to be selling just yet.
Are they going to be above 500, or are they going to be 81 and 81?
I mean, whoever comes out of that division, it looks like it's between them and Cleveland. Cleveland won it last year I think they were the youngest team in baseball last year, or it was some stat that they put up. They either called up the most rookies. They had some crazy stat last year, and they won a division. That was the first time it ever happened. So it was either they were the youngest, or they called up over like 10 or 15 rookies last year that made a debut. And that's what I feel. But the White Sox are just pitiful, man. It's pitiful. It's pitiful.
I mean, the White Sox being pitiful, that's a whole franchise as a whole. Now, when it comes to the Sonny Gray situation, I do want to say, Minnesota Twins, I don't think they're going to win that division. Like I think Cleveland actually will get the job done, and they'll find a way to win it.
Right.
But I'm just curious as a baseball fan. I think the record for like the worst record to make the playoffs is 85 and 77.
85.
And
what team was that?
I think it was the Cardinals in like 2006, or was the Tigers in 2006. Like
I know the Cardinals
77.
Yeah, and I think did they make some noise that year? The Cardinals, I think they did.
I believe so, but I just remember they were like the worst team to ever make a postseason appearance.
Well, I've been getting these notifications, man. I don't know if they're real or not. I just got a notification that says Senga was added to the All-Star game. You see that anywhere?
I have not. No, actually.
Yeah, I think that I don't know. I think people be messing with me, but he's probably been our best pitcher. But yeah, no, I mean that division, I can see a 500 division winner definitely. Yeah. I mean, I think Cleveland's 1 game over. I mean, let's flip a coin.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what
80
happens
and 82, 82 and 80. You know what I mean? Whatever the case may be. So yeah,
I would say if somebody did win that division with a record under 500, I think baseball should automatically strip them of a postseason appearance.
Right.
Considering the AL East and the AL West are definitely going to have teams that are going to be above 500. So.
Right. Yeah,
And
yeah.
And speaking of a team that's actually above them in the standings, I almost knocked my microphone out of my hand. This is the New York Yankees. A shout out to all the people out there in the Bronx. And this team has really looked empty since the injury to Aaron Judge. I mean, that hitting has just been abysmal with him not in the lineup. And there has been reports that they're trying to get him back. He's trying to, rehab, trying to, get back to as quick as possible. But if you're the Yankees, if you're at the MLB trade deadline, do you double down and try to trade and get somebody else to maybe be at third base, like a Nolan Arenado, or you try to get a Paul Goldschmidt first base? Is it a possibility that the New York Mets go all in and try to pick up a big bat? Because this lineup has been terrible without Aaron Judge.
Right. And they were also without Stanton for a while, but if you look at the history, that's traditionally the case with actually both of them. I mean, outside of, his rookie season and obviously last year, I think Judge has always been hurt, if I'm not mistaken.
He misses games. He misses games.
Yeah. Giancarlo Stanton, the same thing. And he's struggled since he's been back. I think he hit a home run today. But, yeah, I mean, that's what they live by. And their pitching is not up to par. Severino came back. He's struggling. Herman, who threw a perfect game against Oakland, but he's not having a good year. Garrett Cole's their only mainstay over there in the rotation. So I think now they need a big bat. They need another starter, in my opinion. The good thing for them is that they are the Yankees. They're good enough to, be over 500. And being that the Blue Jays are struggling, a team that me and you were both very high on, and due to the fact to parity and, teams not running away in the other divisions, they're actually a wild card team right now.
I believe they are the last team to be in the wild card right now.
I don't think they'll get worse. I think they will get better. So I think, yes, why not go after a bag? They're going to make the playoffs. I'm pretty sure.
And there's a bunch of teams that are selling off assets right now. Like, there are a bunch of teams that are doing it. And I just keep telling people, look, the Cardinals never do it. Like, the Cardinals are like the Boston Celtics in the NBA. They don't really sell off assets that much. But when they do, they normally rob you every single time. Like, if you make a trade with them, they normally win at the end. Right. So if you're going to trade for Nolan Arenado, if you're going to trade for Paul Goldschmidt, just be aware that they are probably going to take your pocket and are going to absolutely fleece you in that trade. I'm just keeping that in mind.
Yeah, true. I agree.
Oh, and for the record, for all Yankees fans out there who are listening, if you want to pay me $27 million to have a 199 batting average, I will happily take it.
Right.
Giancarlo Stanton batting under 200 is as a fully guaranteed contract. So,
yes, like I said, man, he knocks he's such an intriguing player, dude, because he may hit the baseball harder than anybody, including Judge, when he's healthy. Like, the dude. I mean, I remember when I think it was Florida. I don't even know if they were Miami yet, but
yeah, he was.
He had an MVP year in that organization, and I remember just playing. I watched him a lot because we played him a lot. That dude smacks the ball. He just cannot stay on the field, so it's hard to get a rhythm and have a good year. It's unfortunate. Just some players are like that.
I mean, Czar, what would you want more? Would you want $27 million per year to pretty much have only 7 home runs up to July, like Giancarlo Stanton? Or would you want $1.5 million until you're 71 years old, like Bobby Bonilla Day?
Yeah, that's tough, man. I'm leaning toward double B. I'm leaning toward double B because some people are not great at investing their money. Yeah, you say 27 million, or the paychecks are probably higher, but it's a shorter span, 4 or 5, or whatever, man, however many years it is. But
yeah,
to have a guaranteed meal every year till I'm in my rocking chair. I love it, and I love it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like to me, Bobby Bonilla with the New York Mets is similar to Rick DiPietro with the New York Islanders. Like he signed a 15-year contract, got bought out like 4 years in, and not only is he part of their TV crew now, but he's still getting paid by the team. So he pretty much gets 2 checks by the organization, one for being on TV and one for being bought out 10 years ago. So,
Right.
yeah.
He getting this Skrillo, that's for sure. And I can't knock him. Mr. Bonilla with the leg kick before the pitch comes.
And the Oakland Athletics is soon to be Las Vegas Athletics, so it would kind of be a crime if I didn't mention them. Brent Rooker, he is their representative for this game. My only argument I'm going to make is Estrui Ruiz. I think he should have been the representative.
I think so too. But if again, correct me if I'm wrong, he wasn't there from day one, right?
Yeah.
He was there from day one, opening day?
He was there from day one, yeah.
Okay, well then I can't really
Yeah, they acquired him in the Sean Murphy deal. They did.
I think Rooker might have been a little bit more consistent from day one to the break, but I think when how you say it's Estrui or
Estrui Ruiz.
Estrui, yeah. I think that the last maybe month, 2 months, he's been better. But I think Rooker, from the jump, I think Estrui struggled in the beginning, and then he picked up fire. And I know he's got a boatload of stolen bases, so that could go either way. But I think they rewarded Rooker just because I think consistently he's been better from opening day.
Indeed, very much indeed. And I will say, since the Las Vegas Aviators, a AAA affiliate of the Oakland Athletics, they are going to be back at home next week. So for anybody in Las Vegas, go down to Las Vegas Ballpark. Go check out your Las Vegas Aviators. It is one heck of a time. I always recommend it. And I'm a huge fan of minor league baseball, Czar. I don't know about you, but there is no funner experience than going to a minor league baseball game because they always have the promotions, the giveaways. They have all these, extracurricular situations going on. So yeah, minor league baseball, always fun to go to.
Right. No, I'm into it now a lot more because I'm in a couple of dynasty leagues. So, it's kind of a job to know, who's the next Pete Alonso, the next Francisco Lindor, the next Mark Canha. You know what I'm saying? So.
Shout out to Pete Alonso, by the way. He wore number 34 for the Las Vegas 51s, hit the last home run in Las Vegas 51's history before they became the Aviators. So there you go.
There you go. And I thought that was for Walter Payton. My bad.
Hey, you know what? Him being who he is, he probably did look up to Walter Payton back in the day. You never know.
Right.
Pittsburgh Pirates, the team that started out red hot, now has cooled down tremendously. Mitch Keller finally living up to the hype that he was in 2020. And David Bednar, for all fantasy baseball owners, he has definitely helped your team out if you are into fantasy baseball. What do you think about the Pittsburgh Pirates? I mean, this was a team that went 16-7 to begin the year. They looked like they were going to be a good team in the NL Central, and then now they're 9 games under 500.
Yeah, Bednar blew another save today. He's been struggling actually of late. But lights out prior. I mean, I'm not going to take the last couple of weeks and say, hey, he's struggling because he has been a top 2 or 3 closer in the National League along with, and I hope, and I don't need to know. I know he made it Doval for the Giants. Yeah. And of course, Hader, of course, who's probably him and Diaz, who I thought going into the year before Diaz got injured, those are the 2 best talents, closers in baseball, or at least in the National League.
The best one now is Felix Bautista, though. Let's just be real.
Well, and in the American League, right. And again, Diaz as well, his brother. Like, I mean, there's some up and coming guys. Bautista is his strikeout to innings. I don't know what the record is, but there's no one even close. He's like, I know he's doubled. It's like 2 strikeouts per inning.
Well, he's done very well. Yeah.
Yeah, it's remarkable. So, but as far as Pittsburgh, Mitch Keller, like you said, is having a phenomenal season. He's obviously in the Cy Young race. Bednar, he showed flashes last year, and that's why I think they had a closer. They had a little committee until he kind of broke away in the second half last year and took over that job. So, they're still, in my opinion, and like I said, when they got started, remember on your original show, I kind of had them as a surprise team. I did have Milwaukee winning that division, but I thought Pittsburgh, because I know they have a really good farm system. They're still, I might say 2 years away. I can see them next year, competing maybe for a wild card spot, but I just think reality has set in. They just got off to a hot start. I don't think they're there yet. Plus, O'Neal Cruz, who's a big piece to that future, he looks like another injury-prone player. I hope not, because I really like
Brian Hayes too. He did have
right there. You go, and I love who I call their best player. And he says Burt Reynolds' brother, but Brian Reynolds, heck of a baseball player.
People have been saying he might get dealt at trade deadline though.
Come on over to New York, baby. Let's go.
If they traded within a division, which I have learned, by the way, that baseball, football, and definitely hockey, they don't trade within a division that often. Like
right, that's what I'm saying. So come on to New York and Blaze, quit talking about the Pirates, because we don't know if your Reds are legitimate yet, because I damn sure think they're a year or two away as well. Can they keep it up? Hey, that boy Abbott, I thought Hunter, don't get me wrong, I still love Hunter Green, who's hurt right now. Mm-hmm. But that kid, Abbott, him and Hunter Green, that might be the next.
They're doing pretty well, yeah.
That might be the next. That might be the next. I don't want to go this high of a praise because it's putting a lot of pressure, but that could be the next duo, Randy Johnson, Kurt Schilling.
It's crazy. I thought you were going to say Greg Maddux and Tom Glavine.
Well, reason why I didn't go there, and I was going to say Smoltz, because they're hard throwers. Maddux just tricked the hell out of you.
I will say, though, the reason why I don't include John Smoltz is because he went to the bullpen at one point.
Right.
That's the reason why I don't really include him.
Right. Maddux just fooled you. He didn't throw hard, but probably the greatest, like my power pitchers that I've watched, not to get off subject, but I always said Clemens, Johnson, Pedro, and maybe I have one more. I'm losing those on top of my head. I got it written down. But as far as non-power, just the guy that just fools you, you can't see his ball, it has to be Greg Maddux.
Oh, indeed. And
he was a Cub, I think, at one time, right?
And they let him go. Yeah, he went to the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah.
All because the owner didn't want to pay him what he was owed. So I will say what I was going to ask about the divisions is I know that baseball, football, and hockey, they don't like to trade within a division. But since you're a big basketball fan, you're way bigger basketball fan than me. Is that the same rule apply in the NBA, or do they just not care about that? About trading within a division? It
applies everywhere typically because you don't want to. Usually sometimes even the conference in the NBA, like they'll trade. When Kobe kind of asked for a trade after Shaq left and they struggled, and he was like, "I want to go to Chicago." Right. They typically don't even want to trade in the conference. Football is definitely that way, which is shocking that the Cowboys, Eagles, have made a few trades the last few years. And I'm sure there's a couple other teams. But no, that's usually the unwritten rule. We're not trading in our division because we're not going to make our team better that we have to play against. We don't want to see Aaron Rodgers. You know what I mean?
So,
we're not trading.
So to kind of get off topic real quick about that, I remember I was watching a show with Paul George who was being interviewed. And he talked about how he almost got dealt from Indiana to Cleveland, but Indiana didn't want to trade within their own division, so that's why he went to the West instead.
Makes sense. No, that's typically, I'm sure that's 100%. Probably had a nice offer on the table they were intrigued by, but then they thought about the ramifications.
He said that LeBron was telling him, hey, we're trying to trade for you. Yeah.
Right. That would have been amazing. That would have been, again, just add another all-star to LeBron's list of great all-stars that he has to win with.
Yeah, and have Kyrie there too. Oh, man.
Right. Yes. And Kevin Love.
And Kevin Love too. Now, back to the original conversation, though, because this is a baseball show. Every year, the hometown team, they get, some love, of course. If you're the representative, you're the team that's going to be in the home ballpark. Seattle Mariners, a city that I love. Las Vegas is number one, but Seattle is a close number two. I'm always going to love Seattle. Julio Rodriguez, J-Rod, he'll be in the All-Star game and the Home Run Derby. Luis Castillo, the former Cincinnati Red, now Seattle Mariner. And then George Kirby, him also being in the All-Star game. Is it a possibility that the Seattle Mariners didn't really have 3 All-Stars, but thanks to them being the hometown team, they got 3 All-Stars because of it?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, Julio and, Castillo. Shout out to Blazers Reds for letting him go. I forgot who they got back in that trade. I'm curious now to know who they got in that trade.
I think it was Jesse Winker. I believe so.
Nah, they got to get some prospects. No, they got a prospect for kid. Find that out later. Or Blaze knows if he's still here. I love Kirby. That was a pitcher that I thought was going to have a better year. Who was the guy? I think he was their ace this year. Who's the Seattle pitcher I'm missing? He's young.
Marco Gonzalez?
No, he's like in his second or third year. Logan Gilbert.
Oh, Logan Gilbert. Okay.
Yeah, I'm high on that kid. So, no, I'm okay. I'm okay with this, man. I like George Kirby, actually. I'm okay with those 3 making it. I'm okay.
Oh, so he was traded for 4 prospects. So that's what it was. He was traded for 4 prospects.
Any names now or some?
No, that's just all it tells me. He was traded for 4 prospects back in 2022.
Yeah, I'm curious because that was a huge pickup for Seattle. He's turned into their ace.
And then Julio Rodriguez, I was reading an article on the sportsangle.com, and they were mentioning how Julio Rodriguez is underrated. How there are certain baseball fans who are not appreciating Julio Rodriguez. I truly believe that is the case. I think that him being a generational talent, him being a really good player, that him being in Seattle, I feel like certain people aren't giving him enough credit for what he's doing over there. You think that's an accurate statement?
No, I mean, he's a kid in his second year. A lot of people still don't know who he is yet, especially a lot of casual fans. Yes, we watched the Home Run Derby. A lot of casuals do watch that, and I think that kind of put him on the map. Him, it was the 3 of them last year.
It was Ohtani, it was Rodriguez, and it was
it was the 3 that put on. Ohtani, I don't think did that well. It was Soto and Pete Alonso. And
it was Pete Alonso. Okay.
Yeah, I think Ohtani was in it, but but those other 3, they put on the show. But no, it's earned. Once he puts together, 3. We usually say to make sure that you're legitimate because we've seen guys come in, have a great rookie year, maybe even a great second year. I don't know if you remember. I'm throwing out an old name, aging myself, but I just never will forget this. Bob Hamlin. I don't know if that name rings a bell. He was a rookie for the Kansas City Royals the same year as another rookie who played for the Indians. Do you know that guy's name?
Manny Ramirez.
Yes. And he won Rookie of the Year. Manny Ramirez was the hype guy, the beautiful swing, the next superstar. But Bob Hamlin comes and wins Rookie of the Year. And I don't think we heard from him since. He was like a little chubby white guy. He looks like if you were to look at him.
The only thing I know about him is that he has this iconic photo. Like he took for a trading card. It's just him staring into oblivion. It's just him staring straight up in the air.
Yeah, if you look at him, he looks like a grocery store manager. I'm just saying, no lie. And we never heard from him, and Manny Ramirez took off. But again, that rookie year, though, we're like, oh, Manny, who else? It's the Bob Hamlin show. So I think once again, once he established himself a few All-Star appearances, first 3-4 years, great. Among the steals leader, he got power. Respect will come. It just takes time.
Yeah, and as we were talking about MLB All-Star Game here on Sports Angle on PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. I'm your host, Ian Rakelli. We're here at King Czar from Stay Tuned Live and Talk Your Ish Tuesday. And really the last team I'm going to discuss, Toronto Blue Jays, the team I had winning the World Series at the beginning of the year. And I've learned my lesson, by the way, Czar. They're still in it. They're still in contention.
Right.
So they are my World Series picks for now. All right, they are still my World Series pick. But
Right.
the Toronto Blue Jays, Vlad Jr., Whit Merrifield, Bo Bichette, Kevin Gossman, George Springer, by the way, he is one of my favorite players to watch from Toronto, but he did not get in the All-Star game. But one player that had a lot of controversy surrounding him being in the All-Star game was Whit Merrifield. A lot of people thought that he shouldn't have been in the All-Star game. You think that's an accurate statement based off of the stats he put up this year?
No, I think he's had a great year. I'm actually shocked. And again, that just goes to show you, like I would mention Salvador Perez, if let's just say he was over there, because they got a couple of prospect catchers and they're not doing well. Kirk and Jansen, and Kirk had a really good year last year and made the All-Star team. And then that's what I tell you. Now, come year 2, he looks like little Mario Brothers, the Kirk. I love the little kid. I love him though, a little pudgy. 5 foot. Yeah, he's funny. But he's not doing well. Just saying they had Salvador Perez. If I was him, I ain't gonna make that move. But when you put Whitfield with his speed, I know he's older, still got speed. You put him with pitchers, with hitters, you got to think about it. When you come from a team that's not doing well, there's no protection, and then you go to a lineup that the Blue Jays have, the type of pitches that you're gonna see are gonna be different because who's hitting in front of you or in back of you versus playing in Kansas City. So he's always had the talent. I have no problem with him making the All-Star game.
Yeah. And shout out to Bo Bichette, by the way.
Yes.
One of the best shortstops in baseball right now.
Love the guy.
Yeah.
Got him on my fantasy team.
Somebody on Twitter, @SportsAngleOnPR, said, who is a player in MLB who you think is overrated? King Czar, I'll let you start.
Shout out to Petco Park, baby. Let's go Mets, baby. And hopefully that was a Met that homer. I got to go check the score on there. I don't know if I got to update or not, but overrated baseball player. Wow.
Yeah, someone on Twitter, they're asking they're asking the fire questions.
You know what? Whoever that was, I'm gonna tell them that they posed a dilemma with that question, and the only reason I'm gonna say that is because you're talking about 2 leagues. But if I had to just throw a name out there, overrated. Shoot. You know what? This is how I'm gonna do this is how I'm gonna base my answer. I'm gonna base my answer off what they gave up for this kid. He is arguably considered the best player in baseball. And now this is the second year with this team, and they're just not winning. And I know people are probably not going to agree with this, but I think he's a great player, but they have him on this pedestal already. I'm going to go Juan Soto. I think he's really good. I was going to say Tatis, but he's been hurt. He's been suspended. So that's what I'm saying. This team got all this talent, and they're terrible. So that's how I'm going to base my answer. I'm going to go Juan Soto. Still a very good player, but he's not Ronald Acuna Jr. He's not O'Shea Ohtani. He is not in their league, in my opinion.
Yeah, to me, Juan Soto, I do put him in that overrated. I think Fernando Tatis, he has gotten a little bit overrated. But for me, this guy, he had a breakout year. He had a fantastic season, and he really hasn't done much since that year. I'm going to go with Chaz Chisholm with the Miami Marlins.
I think he's been hurt too, but
the thing about him is that ever since he got back from his injury, he really hasn't had those breakout stats he had earlier. So
right, and he was having an amazing year last year, and then got hurt as well.
Yeah.
Now I was gonna see. There's another player and I could have win at, but it's kind of past tense, and that's Cody Bellinger. Because with the Dodgers, remember he had an MVP not too long ago. And I don't know what the hell happened to him. But I can't say he's overrated because he don't get that hype anymore. And he's actually having a productive year this year with you guys.
Yeah, I will say this about the Cubs. I think maybe because it's a make it or break it year, but he's actually doing pretty well.
Yeah, Tatis could have made it. He could have made it.
Yeah. I was going to say Javi Baez. Like when he was on the Cubs, he was a little bit overrated.
Yeah.
But I think the Tigers kind of cooled that down.
Yeah, he is definitely. Yeah, he's another one. I mean, he had an MVP season with you guys as well, right?
Yeah, he was. Oh, the person on Twitter, what's your answer? Actually, I'm really curious to see what yours is. But
Chris Bryant, but then again, like I said, he's kind of fallen off.
he kind of fell off. Yeah, he went to
Yeah, I don't know if I
Colorado.
would consider him overrated, but
yeah, Tatis should have been an all-star. I think he was a snub. I'll give you that. But
yeah. So yeah, I'll go
oh,
there.
Bryce Harper. No, get out of here.
No, I used to think that years ago. And at one time, Bryce Harper was overrated. I don't think that anymore, though.
I mean, this guy's what, a 2-time MVP, and he's took his team to a World Series. Nah,
Right? No, but I used to think that. He leaves Washington. That's really when I thought he was overrated. He leaves Washington. They go win a World Series. You know what I mean? But I think since he's been in Philly, I think that may have, because I just think all this was in his head. Another, I'm the man. He gets traded. I think that humbles you a little bit. The fact you get traded, like this team don't want me no more. They don't want to pay me. And I think that woke him up and motivated him to become the player that he finally turned into.
It definitely did. And yeah, that was our MLB conversation. We got about 5 minutes left here on the show. So doing the NBA discussion, obviously NBA Summer League is here in our backyard, is in Las Vegas, the greatest city to ever exist, my hometown. And I will say that when it comes to the NBA Summer League, of course, Victor Wembanyama, Brandon Miller, Scoot Henderson, all of those guys had their debuts here in Las Vegas over the past couple of days. And I just want to ask Czar, because obviously you are a huge NBA fan. You love the sport, clearly. When it comes to the NBA, what do you think about the NBA Summer League? I mean, is it really as big of a deal as they're making it out to be? Because you got Victor Wembanyama, you got Brandon Miller, Scoot Henderson, all this fantastic talent coming into the NBA Summer League. And NBA Twitter was just dogging them. Like, if you saw NBA Twitter last night, they were making them sound like they were the worst players to ever exist.
Right. No, I mean, it's the same thing as preseason. It's spring training. It's the Cactus League. It's the Pro Bowl in Hawaii where they don't tackle. No, it's not a big deal at all. I have people ask me, do you still think Victor's going to be good in the NBA? Yes. Why? Because he shot 2 for 13? I mean, I like when people break things down. I don't like when they just say, oh, that was his numbers? He sucks. I like there was a kid. They were showing a play. It was one of the shows I was watching, and there was a particular play. He was like, the guy can post, and he was backing him down. He was like, but he doesn't have the full frame yet on his body, because as he was backing him down, because he is a smaller, he's a lankier big, right now, because he's very small as far as body-wise, that he was putting so much in the back and the bigger player down who he was playing against that he didn't secure the ball and he lost the ball. It was a particular play. That kind of stuff I like and agreed. He's definitely going to have to get bigger, but that comes with time. Kevin Durant, there's a lot of Michael Jordan, the GOAT, when in the weight room. At some point he will put on weight. He's just getting started. Leave the kid alone. I want to hear what y'all say about 25, 30 games into the regular season. Let's see what this kid can do.
Yeah. And I definitely agree. And by the way, NBA Summer League is going to be here. The Sports Angle on PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. We will be at the NBA Summer League either Monday or Tuesday. I definitely will let everybody know. I'll be shooting footage down there, taking photos, doing stuff like I always do. So that's going to be a fun time going to the NBA Summer League here in Vegas.
Right.
Las Vegas Aces. I always have to give a shout out to the WNBA. Best record in the WNBA. Shout out to the Las Vegas Aces for what they're doing, by the way.
My favorite card when I play poker.
There you go. And I also want to mention when it comes to the NBA, obviously the NBA expansion team, they're going to be coming here in a few years. That's going to be fantastic. And of course, I will be a day one supporter of the Las Vegas NBA expansion team. That's going to be amazing being a fan of them. Now, we have about a minute left here on the show. So, King Czar, I'll let everyone know where they can find you. Drop your social media. Tell everyone what you're doing.
Yeah, definitely. If you're TikTokers out there, I've been a big TikToker of late. You can find me. I have a couple of profiles. One is more dedicated to my son who plays basketball, AAU. out here in Northern California. You can find, type in King Czar, King Czar Mobs, all one word. It used to be my music. I used to do music. But yeah, anything under King Czar, you may see two different profiles, King Czar Entertainment, TikTok. Follow both accounts. I'll follow back. One is just kind of, stuff that I do based around movies, rankings, just the TikTok. If you know TikTok, you know the type of filters that they have. Obviously, you see my tagline below. Stay tuned. Tuesday is a doubleheader for me. Stay tuned live. Talk Your Ears Tuesdays. Shout out to Stay Tuned Live. Please follow on all platforms. And Ignorant Thinkers Podcast, which hosts Talk Your Ears Tuesdays. Follow on all platforms as well.
Absolutely. I appreciate King Czar for being on the show, and I am on those shows every once in a while. So until next time, we are going to be talking about the NFL next week. We'll be bringing back some of that here on the Sports Angle on prconnectionsradio.com, the voice of new media. And until next time, have a good one.